All right. Well, shit. This is the first podcast of Slice of, correct?
So I guess we should. This is a podcast we've been wanting to start off for a while.
Mhm.
Like what has it been, like 4 or 5 weeks? Is it a month?
It's been like a month maybe or
Yeah.
or so. Yeah, I think so.
So why don't let's explain the basic
Oh,
premise
no,
of
no, no.
like what it
First,
is.
let's introduce
Oh
ourselves
yeah,
to
yeah,
the
yeah.
audience.
Are we gonna have like lower thirds?
Um, Maybe in the video if the video does pass.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
You want to go
Um,
first?
I go first.
Yeah.
I am. Oh yeah, I just remembered. I'll tell you talk about it later though during the podcast.
Okay. Okay.
I am Vicente. I am an electrical engineering student here.
Where at?
We are at the University of Washington, Seattle campus,
Whoa, that's cool.
currently in the Odegaard Sound Booths
Check it
Sound
out.
Studio,
Mhm.
which is one of the small perks of being a student here, that you get to be in here, rent it out. They charge you if you're here too long, though.
Yes. Is it me now?
Yeah, I think it's you now.
All right. I am Ben, and I am a chemistry major here at the University of Washington, and I am a senior. Yeah. It doesn't sound too exciting, but it's gonna be. Anyways, let's begin with our intro story of how we got this idea for a podcast. So, I guess should I explain it since I was the one to kind of come up with this idea,
Yeah, sure. I'll be backup.
or would I be like flexing to being
What do
like
you mean? Would you be flexing? You don't want to flex?
I'd be like
I think the
this was
whole
my
idea about
idea,
this podcast is to
so
flex.
this is just all me.
Yeah,
So you can add in if I miss things.
yeah.
So I think it's the pizza story, right?
Yeah.
So we have a friend. Shout outs to Kyle Johnson if he's listening.
So Kyle.
Um, so I think a couple weeks back, um, me, Vicente, and Kyle were hungry while studying, and so we decided to go get some pizza at Domino's,
Yeah.
which explains the pizza right behind us, by the way, which we'll explain further. Um, and so we got our pizza, and we each got our own large because it was about $8.99 or something. It was a good price for a large with 3 toppings, and we're big boys, so we each got our own toppings and our own pizzas. And after we received our pizzas, we then walked back, but Kyle decided to go home and left me and Vicente to come back here and study on our own. And so, me being the sad boy I decide, hey, look at this pizza. We could make a podcast somehow and maybe call it a slice of, because we were eating a slice of pizza at the time. And so today, to start off this podcast, we bring you Domino's Pizza, and we are having a slice of pizza.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much sums up the reason we created this.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was
it was a
really
joke at first.
Yeah, but now we're here.
We're legit doing it. We're here.
We just kept coming up with so many ideas that like, oh, we could do this. Oh, we could do that. It's like at some point you just got to do it.
I know. I feel like we've had a lot of crazy ideas,
Hmm.
but this is like one of them that's actually gone through.
Yeah, because it was so like I felt like it was like there's so much potential you could actually do with a platform like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we came up with all these bunch of segments that we may eventually do.
Hmm. I guess to add on, we also have a potential list of guests who will be coming, including our amazing inspiration for this podcast, Kyle Johnson, who left us. So look forward to that. Um, yeah. So should we start off by having some pizza?
Sure.
All right.
What kind of pizza we got here?
Um, we got some Domino's pizza. It's a large. That deal still, that $8.99, $7.99. I forgot the price, but it's a good deal. You have to order online. Not trying to give too much to Domino's right now, but basically it's a pepperoni, We have Italian sausage and some beef.
Yeah, so this morning you hit me up asking if like we were actually getting pizza or something else because
Hmm.
we weren't really sure if like what we were actually gonna have a slice of today.
Hmm.
And I thought, let's go with the actual pizza that originated the story that we were eating.
Hmm.
But it turns out Domino's wasn't open super early.
Yeah.
So we almost like messed it up because we couldn't actually access it. So we had to wait.
Yep. Luckily, though, it was open by the time I got here, so I was able to pick up a pizza.
Shout out to Ben's mom for driving him here.
Shout out to my mom. Thank you, Mom, if you're ever listening. Anyways,
You
let's.
think your mom would actually listen to this podcast?
Not sure.
Really?
I told her about it this morning.
What about your grandma?
My grandma's in Korea.
I know, but like she likes American things, right? She likes WWE, right?
She likes wrestling. Yes. I don't know why, but she does like wrestling. Um, she just somehow knows all those wrestlers, but I forgot the names because I don't know them.
Who was her favorite?
I don't know.
Was it?
She was always just watching it. She knew the
Yeah.
channel too. Yeah, it was somehow airing there. I think it was like past matches, but they just like re-air.
Mhm.
They send it over and then it re-airs there.
So did you ever ask her what she specifically likes about WWE wrestling?
No, I didn't. I never got the chance to.
She doesn't like. Does she like other things? Like what else does she watch on TV?
She she'll like sit there and watch like variety shows,
Mhm.
but that's with like the fam.
With the fam.
Mhm.
Does she ever watch Korean soap operas?
I'm not sure.
Really? Do you watch Korean soap operas?
Yeah, it's my guilt pleasure.
Your guilt pleasure?
Yeah. I don't talk about much, but I guess the whole world is now gonna know. I was actually watching like this one that just started, and I was watching last the next two episodes that came out the week for this week.
Really? I
Yeah.
always hear that those are kind of weird. Like
How so?
like strange things happens. Like people may have some sort of like power thing,
Mhm.
and then there's always um what was it? I was trying to remember because my cousin watches them too. She was telling me about some like crazy thing that this lady can't do, and that's the reason she can't be with the man she loves.
Damn.
Yeah.
I.
There's always this like restriction, this wall they must overcome, but it's always been like very ridiculous to me.
Mhm.
So I always thought like, wow, that's a little weird.
Yeah. They do go extreme,
Mhm.
but then like they have love stories there, the like little love stories, but they're like I would say they're like pretty cliche if like an American like who someone who watches American TV a lot
Mhm.
would like see that as like cliche.
Yes, yes. That's why I feel it's kind of cheesy.
Yeah, it's cheesy,
It's very
but it's
cheesy.
like there's like some comedic aspects to it that I enjoy.
Like what?
They just have like jokes and like stuff, but it's kind of hard to explain. You have to like experience it yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm not saying you should watch it, but like if you ever do, you could just like look forward to like some comedic aspects. There's comedy, love. Some of them have action. Some of them have strange plots.
Mhm.
It's quite interesting.
Okay, so has there ever been one where like you watch it and all of it, and it just like you thought it was gonna be good, but it just like ends and you're like a bit disappointed?
Mm, yeah, there have been a couple.
Because I feel like that's what I've been what I've heard from my cousin who watches it. She'd be watching one, and she's always taking a risk on it because she might be like really like tied to it at the beginning, and she's like very into the characters, but then it like flops on its face, and she's like, I can never trust it again. Like it messed with my emotions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does that. There's some that like that start off bad,
Yeah.
but you have to give those time.
Really.
Like I feel like for me, I go like at least 3 episodes, because by the third episode, you kind of get like a gist of what's like going down, like who's who, and like what's the premise of the whole story here, and like what's the goal for the main character.
Right.
Because the beginning, it's just like they kind of just throw you into this world,
Mhm.
and you're just like, whoa, what am I doing here?
Mhm.
And then the second episode is like, oh, okay, so there's like these people, and then by the third episode, it's like, oh, okay, so this is going on,
Mhm.
and then that's when I like usually decide if it's good or not.
Yeah.
But I usually end up just watching all of them. Some of them make me mad, some of them make me sad, but yeah.
What's the saddest one you've seen? Like what
Sad.
happened?
Um, let's see. There was one about like so the main character was like this dude who had photographic memory,
Uh huh.
so he could just like remember everything. And so he ends up becoming like a lawyer,
Mhm.
but his dad suffers from is it am- amnesia? No, not amnesia. What's the thing where you
When you're old
when
and you start losing your memory.
yeah, Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Yes. So he has Alzheimer's. His dad has Alzheimer's, so he helps his dad while growing up, but then his dad somehow ends up in a situation where he gets framed for killing someone, but he didn't kill the person, but the person who did kill him found out he has amnesia and
Uh
like
huh.
threw it all on him, and the dad like eventually dies due to like not wait, I keep saying amnesia, but it was Alzheimer's. Like eventually he like passes away, but he never like gets his name proven right. So
Mhm.
his son becomes a lawyer in the goal to like pursue revenge.
Yeah.
And like in the end, actually I won't spoil the end, but like what happens for the main character in the end, which is sad, is he like suddenly gets Alzheimer's too,
Oh shit.
because like it was like something because he used his brain so much that like the Alzheimer's like kicked in. And it was like, isn't Alzheimer's genetic too?
I'm not sure. I'm not a medical doctor,
I'm not either.
but I think there's like it would make sense that if like your parents suffer from Alzheimer's, it could be genetic, and you have a higher potential than others who may not have a family history of it.
Hmm. Yeah, so he ends up getting like Alzheimer's and he's like forgets like everyone around him eventually.
Hmm.
And there's like this girl that he kind of like forms a relationship with, but then he forgets her too. But she like sees him, but then he's just like in the end, it just kind of the end's like, "Who are you?" And then like he kind
Oh
of just like
shit.
walks away, and she follows him in the end, and just like starts crying a bit because she's just like sorry for him because he like worked most of his life trying to like prove his dad like innocent, and then he just like ends up like falling. But it's like it's sad, but he like ends up doing what's right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
Yeah. I forgot the name of it, but I'll bring it into the next episode if you're still interested, or if the audience members, if they comment and they are
Yeah.
interested, if we have audience
Leave a
members.
comment.
Yeah.
I actually wonder how long it actually takes to build a following for these things. You know, like how do people discover new things? Like if we're gonna put this up like on every platform we have, how do people like show up? That'd be cool to like know.
Hmm.
Like, oh, I was browsing the internet. I was like searching puppies and blah blah blah, and
Mhm.
like maybe I wanted a slice of pizza, and then I googled a slice of pizza, and your podcast was there or something, or like, oh, I was in my garden, tending to my onions.
But I think like for most people that actually have a podcast already have an audience.
Really?
Yeah, like
Th-
or like the big ones,
mm-hmm.
they already have an audience, so they have like they start off on an easier like launch pad, you know?
Yeah.
Like YouTubers nowadays, there's like a couple that are like doing them podcasts and like they already have like some of them have like millions or tens of millions of subscribers,
Mm-hmm.
and those people are like just jumping on to that, like they're just continuing watching, so they already have that audience. But for like us who kind of like don't have an audience, we'll have to like either go by word of mouth
Mm-hmm.
or like just promote online somehow.
Well, that's exactly it. I'm wondering like, how did they do that?
Probably like spam.
Spam, all right.
I,
Like the
I would
spam I got this morning.
yeah. I feel like I feel like spam might be like the case. Like that's like kind of how you get things known.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know how like there's annoying ads, but then like you watch it so much that you know the product now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, I think. You just have to like keep bugging someone until like it sticks in their mind.
Yeah, but I don't want to be annoying.
Yeah. I think it's best to just slowly build the fan base. Yeah.
Hmm. All right.
Should we eat some pizza though?
Oh, you're hungry?
I mean, we brought pizza for this podcast. I we told the story of why this podcast is happening,
Oh yeah.
and so I'm just like, maybe we should, take some pizza. Yeah. How is it? It's kind of not hot anymore, right?
It's exactly what I was worried about like when we do this podcast and it's like food based as we have a conversation. The food is cold. But you really can't do anything about that unless in the future, which we have planned, we get big enough, or if somebody, if we email someone and they just agree to let us film at the restaurant
Mm-hmm.
and we talk as we eat, or we can like have a smaller setup, like a just a mic and a couple like headphone plugins to a little system. And we just go out, eat dinner, set up in the middle of the table, and as we eat, we record. But I guess that would be just audio.
I mean, you could bring a camera.
Yeah.
Actually, going back to like just talking about the food, I guess I missed that part of telling about how our concept slice of
All right.
can go to more things. So you want to like kind of go on to that?
Yeah. So I guess it was a good, it was a coincidence that we like chose slice of, right? But then the concept is just like blank of in general. Like it could be like if we have a drink instead of like pizza we had today, maybe we had like some local Seattle coffee. Today we're having a sip of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we name the food or product that we're gonna have that during that podcast.
Yeah.
And I really think like this is like in terms of marketing and like sponsorships, this is like a name that works really well because we can do a different thing every like podcast, and then eventually we can get like maybe we promote local Seattle companies to we'll have a blank of whatever their product is, and we'll just like shout it out and
Mm-hmm.
recommend it,
Yeah.
and then maybe we'll write a review, put it on a website or our Facebook page or Instagram. What's our Instagram handle?
Uh, I made it this morning. It's called Slice of Podcast. I guess we'll put all those links in like whatever description that the platform you're listening to this on.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like we were talking about how like early you got up because you were so excited about this, and how like hard it was for me to get up because I was so tired.
Yeah, I woke up pretty early. I woke up at like 7 because
Mhm.
that's like because this we're supposed to like meet up at 10. It's it's like 12 right now.
Mhm.
So usually my classes start at like 10:30 as a norm,
Mhm.
and so I would have to wake up at like 7 in order to like bus here on time. Luckily, my mom was coming here, so into the area, so I just hopped a ride with her. But yeah, I usually have to wake up early, earlier because I have the commute, and then I decided to make those our like public pages
Mhm.
just to grab those the names before like someone happened to have our idea too.
Yeah. I was looking up yesterday, and we also wanted to like make a production company under it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted Slice Inc., but it's already been taken by some manufacturer that makes cutting tools.
Dang,
Yeah, because that's it's a pretty cool name. I'm not gonna lie.
it's okay. Ours
Yeah.
will be better.
So like, what kind of other goals do you have for like this podcast that maybe we haven't discussed, or that we should probably say?
Um, let's see. I don't know. Do you have any right now that you want?
I
Because you asked
mean,
the question, so it seems like maybe you have some.
I do have like a couple in terms of like, but it's always like dependent on how much more influence we eventually get, right? Like since it is like food based, we could do like food drives for charity, right? I think like we could do some pretty good. We just like kind of round that up, and then like maybe make like a what is it? Some kind of like charity thing, and then give it to that charity, or like we do like a voting system thing, or maybe we
Oh,
just
like
collect
we're
cans and
like a fundraiser
yeah, like fundraising.
for a charity.
Yeah, and I think like that'll be pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
um, to do, and I think pretty possible. Um, I don't know if you want to talk about the news.
The news.
Yeah, the news. I mean, it's not a news base, but we could talk about the news as we eat. That's what people do, right?
Oh, like talk about current issues
Yeah,
and
current
stuff.
issues maybe like You don't want to get political. I don't
I
know
don't
if you
know
want
if
to
I
get
want to get
political.
political. I'm not really a political person
I mean, but
overall.
I mean,
Like
I
I
know you
have my
want, but
opinions.
I want to hear your opinions.
I have my opinions, but I don't really like follow politics as much.
Oh, that's fine.
I don't yeah.
You don't have to get
I
political.
usually hear about like all this like news stuff from like people. So it's like
Well,
it becomes filtered. And so I accept like this filtered viewpoint
right.
from people. And then like sometimes I'll look into it
Uh huh.
because I want to learn more, but most of the time I'm just like, mm, I'll just carry on with my own life. I think it's good, but yeah, I guess as we're going into like the real world, quote unquote, that we should be more aware of what's going on around us.
I think like talking about current news events and maybe things you've seen like online is like interesting or not.
Mhm.
So I think we should like be open to considering like a discussion, not necessarily like a debate. That depends on our who we have on as a guest,
Mhm.
right?
Oh, I just thought of this. You know how so you know how there's like celebrities who do like their lives. They'll be like live on Instagram or
Yeah.
live on I don't know what they do on Twitter or like Facebook. I think they have live too.
Hmm.
But like we could have a podcast and have it live if we like get a good big enough audience and we can be interactive with the audience during the podcast while we record and then like we could like either talk about things they want to talk about at that moment
Hmm.
or like just answer questions and stuff, you know?
Right.
And I also feel like since we're in college, we could like potentially like also give advice for like younger audience members if there are any.
Oh yeah, we could totally do that.
And let's see what else. I guess going back to your question in terms of goals, I just want like to have fun on this podcast and basically not really like of course I have like wants like I want like companies to like sponsor us or like because of like free food,
What'd you say?
free food, you know. So yeah, but I think I just want to like kind of just like enjoy this like this like to be able to share like conversations that we would have normally, but just like with a larger audience, I guess. Because
Hmm.
I'm like, me, I'm not like someone who like I'm an introvert. I would say, like
Right.
I don't really speak much. I listen more. So it's like I don't know. This kind of gives me a chance to talk.
Well, like that's why I found it interesting because like I would never think that you would want to do something like this, especially like you don't speak within our friend group like barely, like
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Even like you've told me like before we even met in your previous friend groups, you'd be the one that like never dominates the conversation,
No, not really.
right?
Yeah.
So I find it like super interesting that you would consider going on the mic and then uploading this online where everybody could hear your opinions.
I guess so. I guess I don't know. It's just kind of like I've been watching podcasts or like on YouTube and like listening to them, and like I don't know. I feel like it's different a bit. I don't know. It just gives this like kind of gives me a stage to like talk,
Hmm.
and there's like really no audience in front of me that I wouldn't get nervous about.
Yeah,
So yeah, and like also we can bring in like people, and so like we can like converse more.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what else to talk about. So I I think we're doing pretty good.
I think we're doing fine. Yeah,
Yeah. I
that's
didn't.
another thing you were like worried about, correct? That like we would come here and because it's not such a natural conversation, it's a whole setup. That you would have to be ready to converse about something, and you were worried that your mind would go blank because you had nothing to talk about.
Yeah, because like, what if I just and what if we both just like go blank,
Hmm.
or like today if we were to just go blank and then we're just like sitting here just like, so what should we talk about? And
I
then
mean,
like we don't like start the podcast and then like we just like waste time. Like I want to just get to it. Like today we kind of wasted time because we were trying to set up all this. Like
yeah, I
I
didn't.
feel like we should have came in earlier. I underestimated like how much I knew about setting up all this.
Yeah, I had no idea. I really thought we were gonna like plug and go, but it didn't turn out that way. And I really don't actually don't like this doing it in the sound studio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually don't like this mic stand right now. I really don't like this mic stand. I wanted like when I envisioned a podcast,
Uh-huh.
I either imagined like there's like some that have a table
Right.
and they have this like huge arm for each mic
Mhm.
and it's like adjustable, just like it moves on its own and it's just like sitting up here. And so that seemed nice. And then you have a table so we could like place our food. Clearly we have like this table that they use. But yeah, I kind of wanted that. I was trying to get a different mic, but I had exams, so that kept me. But I mean, we'll play around. We'll go to different studios.
Yeah, we might be in a different place next week. Um, what was it? I was gonna say something. Goddamn.
Hmm. See, this is the problem. I told you. I think you need to take a bite of your pizza. Maybe you'll like find some inspiration.
All right.
We should have asked if there was another person after us, because aren't we done around like 1?
Mhm.
I don't know how long we've been going.
Oh,
I feel like we started around 11:40.
why don't we talk about how we met?
How you and I met?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could since this is like all intro stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, well, how did we meet, Chente? Oh, by the way, Chente is Vicente's nickname that we call him because it's it's more crisp. It flows better on the tongue for most people, I think, right? Would you say it's easier for people to say Vicente or Chente?
Well, I think it's easier for people to say Chente,
Yeah.
and it's easier for them to spell it
Hmm.
because people usually fuck up my name.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, are we cursing on this podcast?
This is America. We have the freedom of speech.
Okay.
You can say whatever you like.
I thought we weren't gonna
I
get
mean,
political,
if
Ben.
I I don't. Okay, fine. Maybe that was a little political, but like I'm just saying we can just like if they don't want to hear it, then they can either like voice their opinions. The
Yes,
audience.
Ben. But what about the children? Like, don't we have to be conscious of what kind of audience we have?
You're right.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, we could like put like a warning
Yeah, let's put a warning.
so we don't get sued.
Yeah, we'll put a warning in, and because I really hate radio. I hate listening to radio
Hmm.
because they edit. There's like
They
edit
bleep,
versions of music,
but they
and
also don't they also bleep their
yeah,
talks?
they
Yeah.
bleep, they bleep stuff. They cut it. They like go like or whatever. They like or like mute it, and it's like it hurts the flow of the song, honestly.
It does.
And it like, so I never listen to the radio. I hate it.
I'm gonna say one comment, and then we can hop back to your original question of how we met. So remember we were watching the NBA All Star game at LSAMP, and so remember when J Cole was performing on that halftime show, and then he like couldn't say like because in the song he says the N word and like he says like swear words in that, but in his live performance on the NBA stage he couldn't do that, and it like kind of ruined that song. Like I wouldn't say ruined, but like it didn't sound right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I want to share. But
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, so I mean, we just have to put a label on it. We just, I guess, like in people seeing the rating first
Mm-hmm.
will be like, oh, my child shouldn't listen to this or like that. But I mean,
Do you know how they rate podcast at all?
no, I don't know. I only listen to like, but I've listened to like some YouTubers and they like swear, but
Mm-hmm.
they have younger audiences too. YouTube is mostly like younger audience.
If you're a kid right now watching this, stop it. Or actually, no. Gain a couple ages and come back.
Yeah. Anyways, let's jump back to your original question that you wanted answered
Oh
of
no,
how we
yeah.
met. Cause
We technically met
spring,
in the
last
air,
spring, formally,
formally in the air.
yeah, we were on a plane.
Yeah, and I had no idea who you were, even though I had been in your group.
Why are we in the air?
We were in the air because we were going from the United States of America to Canada and over to Australia. Austria? No, Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Australia.
Mm-hmm. For so we were part of a study abroad trip from via the shout outs to the University of Washington for letting
Shout
us
outs
do
to
that.
the AA department. Shout out to LSAMP.
Shouts to Professor Yang.
Shout outs to Catherine.
Shouts to Jackie Hernandez.
Yeah, shout
Shouts
outs.
to Mike.
Shout outs to Raj. You're in Paris right now. You'll probably never see this.
We miss you.
Yes, Josh, come back.
Let's see. Yeah, so we were going on a study abroad trip, and so we happened to sit next to each other because our last names are literally A and B. So we ended up sitting next to each other. I knew that Vicente was my roommate, for one of my roommates for Australia. So, what better way to spend 14 hours on a plane than get to know your roommate, you know? So, I kind of just like attacked him with questions and stuff, I feel like.
I was very much attacked. I had no idea you were my roommate. We had like a, even though like we had a pre-departure meeting, right? We had like pre-departure meetings for this program before, and we had to do like presentations based on the different aspects of Australia, like food, travel, history, and like I ended up being on like Ben's team because him and another another person that went with us, Harpreet, were on the history team, and they totally forgot to do like the history of Sydney because we were going to be in Sydney for I think it was 2 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Yo, guys, I wasn't here at the first meeting. Let me join your group. I'll do all the work." Because I knew Harpreet because we had done the interview
That's true.
together. I was like, "Harpreet, let me in on this. I got to do something." So I did that. But I really didn't recognize Ben once we were on the plane because Ben was like in this like suave suit. I think it was like nice and purple, or was it like? Do you have an all white suit? I forgot.
No, it was, I only have one soup, and it's like, it's not navy blue. It's like closer to gray than, it's like not gray. It's like violet, I think.
Yeah, that's why it's like purplish. So yeah, I thought like you were some like business dude, like always dressed like that. I'm like, okay, yeah. But it ended up you just going to an event that day.
Yeah, I had like, I was invited to this like aeronautical like event. It was formal.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I went there. And I had to. It was like right before the meeting, so I had to dress up and then just like go to the meeting and then go to the
Hmm.
event. That event sucked, by the way, because we got food, we got fed free,
Yeah,
but they gave us chicken, and mine was like partially uncooked in the inside.
it was big on the inside.
Hmm.
They give you pink chicken.
Yeah, so I didn't have a good time.
I feel like that's always what it is when like you get free chicken from like maybe a carrying company. Like sometimes you just get that chicken that's pink inside still.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we ended up being on the airplane for from Canada to Australia for 14 hours. And yeah, that's where Ben showed me some Korean movie that was pretty good about a dude who died.
Mm,
Yeah,
I
and
forgot
that's
the name.
it was I forgot what his
I
name
know
was.
it's in Korean.
What?
It's called Shingwa Hamke.
Yeah, what does it mean?
It means like, well, I think it would literally mean like alongside God.
Hmm.
Did you want me to say the premise of the story?
I mean, you probably remember it better than I do. I just remember a dude that died saving. Was
It
it
was
one of
just
his?
like a dude who died,
Yeah.
but like, I guess he felt wrong that he died. because he's like, oh, I have to go take care of my family
Yeah,
still.
yeah.
And so, I guess in the story, sorry, in this story, like you can get a chance to come back to life if you pass certain trials, and you're assigned to like these like supernatural beings who
Hmm.
help you on these like trials, and if you pass these trials, then you can come back to life, basically, and you have another chance at life. But yeah, that's basically like what happens. What's like going on in that story. But it was a good story.
I actually never finished it.
It's okay. I don't. I mean, if you didn't want to, then that's you. You do you.
Not because I didn't want to, but because we had landed
Um.
and I wanted to get out of that airplane.
Yeah. But Australia was nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. I recommend. All right. Oh, we should do like a country recommendation list.
Do I recommend some countries to go to right now?
Hmm.
Well,
Not right now, but like just in general.
in the future.
In the future, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a thing.
I guess we could.
Like, oh, you went to this place. Do you recommend?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, I don't recommend. And then you give your reason. And then I do recommend. And you give your reasons. Honestly, Australia is just like the United States. Pretty much. Except like everybody drives on the other side of the road. Yeah.
Yeah. I think more of the land is like uninhabited though, right?
Yeah, I think most of the coast is inhabited. And like the middle part is like there's no one there. And then there's a lot of bats. There's big ass bats. Watch your head. Big ass bats. They're huge.
Yeah. I think I think Australia made me realize how much we Americans eat or how big our portions are.
Oh, because we also had Domino's in Australia, and it was a $5, but that thing was smaller than a medium here,
I think it's smaller than a small here.
and their large is like a medium.
Yeah. So if you ever go to Australia, just look for that $5 pizza. It's probably more worth than like getting a large pizza.
Also, if you go to Australia and you love McDonald's soft serve ice cream, it's 50 cents.
By the way, they call it Macca's.
Yeah, they call it Macca's.
McDonald's, not the ice cream.
Yeah, good clarification. We had a lot of that ice cream. It was such a good deal.
Yeah, our friend Benny had a lot.
Yeah, he would. I think he would order. Did he order the most? He ordered was 6 at a time, right? And they give him a little tray of cones. It was crazy, but like, let's see. You have 6 of them, and they're 50 cents each. That was $3 for 6 cones,
Yeah.
Australian dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it even cheaper because like the conversion rate is like the dollar is stronger, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I miss Australia. It was like very sunny there. Didn't rain much. It was really windy in Sydney when we were there, though. Do you remember that?
It was cold then because
Yeah.
we headed in. I think they were coming out of their winter.
Yeah, I remember like being by the Opera House near the water.
Hmm.
So windy. Like I think Donald Trump's hair would have like flown away.
Maybe that's why he wasn't there during that time. It's like, no, my hair would blow over. Yeah. I feel like we went off on a tangent. I forgot the original question. We were here.
Why? Or in Australia?
Yeah, why were we started talking about Australia?
Well, I think this goes way back to your original question of how we met.
Right. What did you think of me?
My initial thoughts of you.
Yeah, you didn't think anything of me, did you?
No.
You didn't think. Actually, you didn't think like, what is it? It's almost not even a year, like 8 months or something.
Yeah.
After that, we'd be starting a podcast.
Yeah, I never knew that. I didn't think that I'd ever meet someone that would be interested in doing a podcast.
What have you suggested it to anyone else previously?
No, I actually recently like got obsessed with podcasts. So
Mm-hmm.
I also like listening to the radio, like people talking,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like they just say whatever. Or, I mean, they don't really say whatever. They have scripts, I think. But I like interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I really like listening to interviews because you can like learn more about people.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they always ask the same questions to like celebrities, and then it's like you should just like ask new ones or like ask like some like things that we can learn more about them. Because I always feel like it's like, oh, how do you feel about this movie, or like
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel about your like new album, or like it's like always like just sharing like about what they do and
Mm-hmm.
not like what they've been like how they feel, or like it, you don't really like see that much.
Mm.
I feel like.
And so, do you like plan to do interviews with people on here?
I mean, I would consider this like some sort of interview,
Mm.
but like I guess because most of my media consumption is like Korean media consumption, like
Mm-hmm.
so they like I don't know if they have programs here, but they have a lot of variety shows in Korea, and like one that's been trending is like this show that just like it's like if a celebrity lives alone, then they can like go on the show, and you just follow their day and like see what they do for like on their daily life, and like I feel like you can learn so much from just like watching them just go about their day. But I don't think we have that stuff here, right?
The Kardashians.
But that's like one. This is like multiple like different celebrities that come on each like week, or just like
Oh, I
three
see.
different like celebrities at three different locations who have their like own houses, and they just like kind of like show their life.
So, like, if like one episode it's like LeBron James, and the next episode is.
No. So it's like it could be one episode,
Mm-hmm.
and then they record like with three different people. So they'll like have their segment with LeBron James,
Mm-hmm.
and then like they'll switch over like during midway, just like a transition to like I don't know like KD,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll like kind of show KD, and then like they'll go back to LeBron maybe, and then they'll like jump to like I don't know James Harden, and then they'll like kind of show what he's doing, and like what he eats, and like how he reacts to things, or like it just shows like how they act as human beings, kind of, or like because we always see them like on like a spotlight,
Mm-hmm.
and so I feel like we should do that more, like in America too,
Mm-hmm.
because
It just kind of that kind of reminds me of slightly like MTV Cribs, when like they would show you their crib, but like all they were doing is pretty much flexing.
yeah,
But that's more like on a personal day to day, like
yeah,
in the crib.
yeah. So I feel like that'd be much better. But
You think so?
what, flexing, or
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
no, not flexing. I just meant like just showing your daily life, just like kind of like a YouTube vlog.
Mm-hmm.
Except they wouldn't really be vlogging. They just like continue their life, and then they
Mm-hmm.
just get filmed doing it.
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know if I would watch that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I watch like segments on YouTube about like they show clips.
Mm-hmm.
I just watch a lot of YouTube, but yeah, they show that stuff, and it's like pretty interesting because they like buy like certain foods, and it's like, oh, I never thought they would like buy that, or like even like the hosts when because they just like rewatch what they recorded,
Mm-hmm.
so they're like sitting in a studio like so, and then they're just like watching a screen, but then they like comment on stuff
Mm-hmm.
as like they're watching what the audience is also watching.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was like pretty cool.
I mean, that part sounds pretty interesting where they explain themselves, but
Hmm.
I wonder if like it's different, like in terms of like privacy. Like
Hmm.
maybe to them it's like it's not that big of a deal to like show their lives, but like you know, here it's like you find like media finds one little thing that somebody does and just kind of like blows it up,
Hmm.
right? It's like, oh, he's on this new diet. Oh shit, he's doing that diet
Hmm.
or something like that. I don't know.
I guess so.
Is that to me? That's just like
I guess it could be different because like I guess most of the celebrities in Korea are under like a strict contract.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, like here, it's like a bit more like there's more room to breathe. So yeah, there's probably like cultural differences and stuff about that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything like I don't know? Do you watch like Latin media?
The weather.
Just the weather?
No, I'm just kidding. This is just a whole joke about how like Latin weather women are very like voluptuous. So I was making a joke.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's like a whole YouTube video like oh shit. But yeah. No, I haven't watched anything particularly. I think the last thing I watched was Roma on Netflix. It was like a new kind of black and white Latin uh, movie. It follows around like um, this lady. Her name I think is Roma, and she basically is like the housemaid for this like higher up. I think it's Mexican family that like their dad is having some kind of affair, and their mom is like freaking out, and she's like super stressed, but like kind of shows like oh how she's part of this family, but she's also like not part of it because she is their worker. Like she can take care of the kids, like if she was like an older sister or like their mother, right? They actually love her, but she's a part of the family, but not really. Like it shows like the differences in her life versus the differences in
Oh,
his life. Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. It doesn't really have like a client like an epic climax. Like oh, there's some kind of ending. It just like it shows life. And I really liked it. That was good. And it was all in Spanish, and it was
Oh, cool.
yeah. I think I'm trying to figure out who made it. I think I want to say who the director was. I recommend if you want ever like have time.
I don't got Netflix. I'm a poor college student, so
Oh, well then like every poor college student, you should. What is it? How do you say when you're using someone else's Netflix? There's a term for that.
there is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like
Um,
now I gotta look up the term.
while you search for that, I'll say that I've seen like I've taken Spanish in high school, right? So then I've seen like a couple of like Spanish movies. They're pretty good, like cool. Some of them I think were like made here in the U.S.,
Mm-hmm.
but I remember there was like this soccer one that was pretty good. Because my Spanish teacher in that class really liked soccer,
Mm-hmm.
so we would watch soccer movies that were like that have like Latin like characters in them, and then um, I remember there's like a story about a brother and a sister like crossing the border, and then there was I think there was another movie where it was like a mom and her son getting separated, but I I thought they make movies pretty well too.
Yeah, I couldn't find the term. If it doesn't exist, we should make one up by the next time. When you use someone else's Netflix, there should be a term. Like I don't know why there wouldn't be, but um, yeah. Recently I thought like yeah, I haven't consumed very much like Latin media and stuff and like that. And I was just listening to another podcast that I listen on NPR. They were interviewing Latin film critics in the United States, and at the very end, they were giving like what their favorite like movies were
Mm-hmm.
um, in the Latin community, and I kind of wrote all those down and put them on my list. So I guess maybe we'll come back with some more commentary, and I'll tell you about them and maybe what I think. And then if you like them, I'll share them with you.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I think I think we can call it there for today.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we did like pretty good. We had a little pause just in the
yeah,
at,
just edit them out. It's all good.
nah. I think
You're gonna leave them?
hmm. maybe.
All right, cool.
But
Yeah, we're getting
this
close
is
to the
like
time.
authentic.
Is it?
Yeah,
This is what you wanted?
this is kind of
Kind of.
just like it wasn't formal.
Wasn't
It was just
formal.
like you and me talking all the time.
Mhm.
Now, and so next week, I guess to like for whoever's listening right now, we're gonna have our first guest.
Mhm. We're gonna have the inspiration
Do we
or
have?
the
Did I say
trigger
who is
to
coming?
the inspiration. No, you haven't said it. Who?
Oh, but yes, we'll have. No, wait. Think I kind of mentioned it, but
Yeah.
yes. If you forget, if I said it earlier, but I'm gonna repeat myself if I did. We are going to have a special guest next week. Our first guest. Um, his name is Kyle Johnson. The As I mentioned, the trigger of this podcast for sparking this idea.
Yeah. Ben was very sad, and he makes his best ideas when he's really sad.
Yeah, so look forward to that, and I guess thank you for
Listening.
coming to our first podcast.
Yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully we can make the next one better than this one. And yeah, we're just here to have some fun. Anything you'd like to end this with?
No, that's it.
All
All
right.
right. See you next week.